Hello, my name is Sonia and today we're going to learn how to make a pair of socks. So I already have one made right here, and this one was made to fit my foot. So the socks that we're going to make today, you're going to make to custom fit your foot. So this is basically like a formula that I've come up with so that you can make a custom fit pair of socks to fit you. So these socks were made cuff down. So I started up here at the cuff and then I worked all the way down to the toe. Some patterns are toe up where you start at the toe and you work up to the cuff. But these were made cuff down. So to make these, what you're going to need is yarn. So I've used sock yarn that I have here. You don't have to use sock yarn. You could certainly use worsted weight yarn. I've made socks in worsted, sport weight, fingering weight, DK weight. I do suggest a yarn that's more smooth in texture like this, just so it's a little bit easier, especially if you've never made socks before. So I wouldn't really suggest yarn that's like fuzzy or bumpy or furry. So you're going to want to match your hook to the yarn that you're using. So for these socks here, I use this D hook here, which is a 3.25 millimeter hook, so you can see that it pairs really well with this yarn. So you can, choose your hook size according to the yarn you're using. You're going to want a stitch marker. So here I have just a scrap piece of yarn that I like to use, cheap and easy. And you're going to want a pair of scissors. And I also suggest either some paper, or you can certainly, use your phone. So again, this is a formula. So this is my formula that I used to make this sock. So the other sock is going to be just like this one. The directions are the same. So I just wrote down what I did so that my socks match. So you can, again, use, pen and paper, which I'm old school, so that's what I do. But if you want to just put your notes on your phone or your computer, that's perfectly okay. Especially if, you're not making them all in one day, you're going to forget what you did. So it's important to write it down. So before we start making the socks, there's 2 stitches that you're going to need to know how to do, and you might already know how to do the one. So I've already worked 2 stitches of the one. So this is extended single crochet. So the body of the sock here is all made in extended single crochet, and the reason why I like to use it for socks is it's a lot more comfortable on the feet. The stitch is flatter, so when you're walking around wearing them, it just feels a little bit nicer. Sometimes crocheted socks can be a little bit bumpy, and it's just not that comfortable if you're walking around in them. So that's why I like this stitch for socks. So I've already made one, and it's very similar to a regular single crochet stitch, except there's one extra step. So I'm going to insert my hook in my chain, pull up my loop, and I have my 2 loops on my hook. So if I was working a regular single crochet, I'd yarn over, pull through both loops. But there's one extra step, so I'm going to chain 1 and then pull through both of those loops. So I've made 1 extended single crochet, and I'm just going to keep going across. So pull up my loop, chain 1, yarn over, pull through 2. And the body of the sock is worked entirely in the round. The cuff is worked in rows, just so you kind of have an idea of what you're getting yourself into. So I've completed 1 row of extended single crochet. So the body of your sock's going to look like this, and it almost looks like kind of like a knit stitch to me. So I'm going to chain 1 and turn, because I'm going to show you the other stitch you're going to need to know. So I'm just going to work 1 regular extended single crochet in this first stitch here. Okay, the next stitch that you're going to need to know how to do is what I call an extended single crochet decrease, or extended single crochet together stitch. So we're going to combine these 2 stitches into one. So to work this stitch, you're going to need to work in front loops only. So what you're going to do is pull up a loop in the next stitch in the front loops, and pull up a loop in the next stitch in front loops. So you have 3 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and pull through both of those first 2 loops. So now you have 2 loops on your hook. You're going to chain 1, and then yarn over and pull through the other 2 loops. So we've made 1 extended single crochet decrease. So we'll do it one more time. So insert your hook in the first front loop, insert your hook in the next front loop, yarn over, pull through both of those loops, chain 1, and then yarn over and pull through your next 2 loops. And we've made another extended single crochet decrease. So those are the 2 stitches that you might not be familiar with that you need to know how to do, and then the other stitches that is going to be used is slip stitch and half double crochet, and I consider them a basic crochet stitch, so hopefully you already know them. So we're going to get started right now. So we're going to work on the cuff first, and I'm going to use this yarn for the demonstration because to try to do the cuff with this multicolored yarn, it might be a little hard for you to see. So I want to show it to you in the solid color and the lighter color with a larger hook to make it a little easier. So we're going to go with my formula. So here's my little notes that I've made. So I've cuff and I've chained 7 and I'm working 6 stitches. Now you can certainly make your cuff wider. So you can see right here, you know, my cuff is little, but you can actually, you know, make your cuff really wide if you want, or even smaller. It's up to you. And I like this ribbing here because it's kind of stretchy, like a knitted ribbing, and I think it kind of mimics that a little bit. So my formula was chain 7, and again, work as many chains as you want, and your first row is going to be half double crochet. So I want to have 6 half double crochets, so that's why I'm chaining 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So again, if you want to have 10, then you want to chain 11, you know, etc. So we're going to work in the back bump of the chain. So that's back here, and these bumps here, we're going to work in those. So we're going to yarn over. So I'm going to skip the first 2 chains and then work. So 1, 2, turn it over, work in the 3rd bump here, and just work a regular half double crochet stitch. And I'm going to continue in my back bump working my half double crochet stitches across. So the cuff is worked in rows, and then the rest of the sock will be worked entirely in the round. Alright, so I want to have 6 stitches, so I'm going to just do a quick count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So my next row is going to be a row of slip stitch, so I'm chaining 1, and the rest of the rows that you're working is going to be worked in back loops only. So I'm going to turn my work a little bit like this so that I can see my row of chains to know where to insert my hook. So I'm putting it right in that back loop, and I'm working a slip stitch all the way across. So you're just going to want to make sure your stitches aren't too tight when you're slip stitching. And just keep track of your counts of 1, 2, 3, 4, because sometimes it can get a little bunched up at the end and then you might lose a stitch. And then you're going to work on top of your chain 2 that you skipped. That counts as a stitch. So now I've worked a row of 6 slip stitches across for row 2. Row 3 again is back loops only, and we're working slip stitch across. So it can be tricky as to where to put your hook. So if you just turn your work like this, you can see the top of the row of, it looks like a row of chains, and you'll know where to put your hook. So back loops only, so right here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that's row 3. So now we're going to work row 4. We're going to chain 1, turn. Again, we're working another row of slip stitch across in back loops only, because the rest of our rows for the cuff is back loops only. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we worked 4 rows. So now we're going to chain 2 and turn for row 5. And then all of your odd rows, so we're on row 5, this is your right side right here. So your chain 2 is going to count as a stitch, and now you're going to work half double crochet all the way across in back loops only. So 1, 2, so your chain 2 counts as a stitch. So 3, whoops, 4, 5, and 6. So now the next row, for row 6, chain 1, turn, you're going to work your row of slip stitch all the way across. Now you can certainly make, the socks that I've made are ankle socks, but you can actually make knee-high socks if you want, or thigh-high socks. It's up to you. So that is row 6. We're going to chain 1, turn. So work row 7 is going to be, again, a row of slip stitch all the way across in back loops only. Alright, so now we're ready to work row 8, and we're going to again work a row of slip stitch all the way across for row 8. Just like so. So then row 9, chain 2, and turn. So your pattern sequence for your cuff is 1 row half double crochet, 3 rows slip stitch, 1 row half double crochet, 3 rows slip stitch, all in back loops only. And what you're going to do is you are going to work this cuff and make it as long as you need it until it fits comfortably either around your ankle or your calf, your knee, wherever you want that cuff to lie. You're going to work as many rows as needed. And you are going to end on your second slip stitch row. So I'll show you what I mean. And then you're going to join it into, or turn it into a circle after that. So that's the first slip stitch row. So the second, this would be the second slip stitch row because we worked 1 row half double crochet, 1 row slip stitch. So this is the second row of slip stitch. Work all the way across. And then your next row would be the joining row. So go ahead and work as many rows as you need, and as you can see, this is a nice flexible ribbing here that you would need to fit around either your ankle, your calf, wherever you want this cuff to sit. So we will pick it up in the next video, and then we'll start working in rounds. Thank you for watching.